So Tim, what are you showing here at E3 with Sony VR?
We're showing Psychonauts and the Rhombus of Ruin, which is a VR experience, and it tells a story right after the end of Psychonauts, which was, remember Psychonauts was released in 2005, and it ended with a cliffhanger kind of rushing off to rescue the grand head of the Psychonauts, Truman Donato. And we are doing Psychonauts 2, which is going to tell the story of Raz at Psychonauts headquarters, but in between there's this first real Psychonauts mission that Raz goes on, and it's in the Rhombus of Ruin, which is like two Bermuda triangles back to back. That's how dangerous it is.
What was it like working with PlayStation VR to make your game a reality in the VR space?
Well, you know, at Double Fine, one thing we always like to do is put the player into a fantasy world, like make a world and then draw you into it as much as possible. And VR just lets us do that right away. Like we put a character right inside of this world that we create. And it really is, it's really exciting, but it has things that are really new challenges, but also new things that are available. Like just letting the player feel like they're controlling things with their minds. It's a perfect fit for the psychic powers that we have in Psychonauts.
What's it like seeing your property, since you said 2005, it's now making a huge comeback with your successful funding campaign and now Sony VR?
Psychonauts is back, and it's exciting because we are always thinking about it. Like Psychonauts is always going on in my head. And so it seems natural to come back now when we have the technology to do an amazing looking version of it and experiment with new kinds of storytelling mediums like VR.
What do you think VR would have opened up for you as a game developer in the 90s?
Well, there was VR in the 90s. It just was terrible. If we had VR back in the 90s, we would obviously be just completely in VR all day by now, just floating in tubs of nutrient gelatin while we just experience the virtual world. So luckily we've got a few extra decades in there where we could be out in non-virtual worlds. So, but now we're beginning the slow, permanent voyage into virtual space.
Where do you see VR opening up for game developers in the future?
It's really exciting to be in VR right now because no one really knows what the future is going to be. No one knows it's going to be 100% VR. Is it going to be AR? Is it going to be both? Is it going to be some portable device? Is it going to be? No one really knows. But right now, all we wanted to do was make something that was a fun game, a fun experience with characters that people love. And so we're at the very early days of defining a whole new medium, which is really exciting.
And how is Psychonauts 2 coming along?
Psychonauts 2, we're making up crazy brain ideas. We're prototyping some new psychic powers. So it's still early days, but it's really fun because there's things that we can do now that we couldn't do back then and didn't really know how to do back then. But now we're just focusing on making a really, really great game and getting back into telling the story of Raz and his psychic adventure.